The masquerade is a reminder to accept each other, be tolerant of each other, and to remember to love each other, which is something this family has always been based upon. I hope you all know what my heart feels for every one of you. My heart is filled with love for each of you. King Draven and I worked together with the help of Council, Sentinels, and many others to make Blood Evolution to the family it is today. I have walked this earth for thousands of years. I descend from a place long ago in history. We know that the spirit of Blood Evolution's family comes from a time long ago and forgotten, except for the stories of family passed down through the centuries. So loves, do you believe in fairy tales and heroes that save the day? We have found one plausible history of our family which takes us back to in a fairy tale past of our family. Or is it a fairy tale after all? We will leave that up to your fantasies and imaginations. Come with me as we walk forward into the past. Now please, my son Richie, take us into the past at Italy, where our tale might have begun. Thank you all.
The year was 1610. A warm summer breeze swept through the town of Montecchio, knocking a few leaves from trees, guiding them to their final resting place to rot and decay. Montecchio was a peaceful town that was not far from the grand city of Venice. In the centre of the town stood a grand-sized wrought-iron gate, encased with solid stone walls, and stood proud around Castle Capodilista. The castle was home to the royals, although never seen by the townspeople during the day. The wind started to whistle through the trees. The old sign above the tavern door creaked aloud as it crashed against the howling wind. There stood a man. His face looked as cold as death, eyes sunken in their sockets, wavy, jet-black hair. The man's face became clear. As he reached the table, he sat in the chair furthest from the girl, his eyes never leaving her face, taking in every angle, eyelash, and finally resting on her pink plump lips. He pressed the tip to the parchment and began to write. My darling Maria, meet me at the rear of the Rose Gardens after dark tomorrow night. We can walk together in the moonlight without being seen. Alessandro. He waited a few seconds for the ink to settle into the parchment before folding the letter in half. He slowly rose to his feet, softly walking towards where she stood, her eyes trying not to look at him. He slipped the note into her lowered hand. He nodded to the tavern keeper and made his way back out into the darkness of the night. 16th of May, 1610. Alessandro began to write in his journal. She was there again after sundown. Although my heart is cold, seeing her face brings a depth of warmth to me. If mother and father knew of this, I am certain they would not approve. He pulled her hand behind him as they walked through the wooden gate and under the stone archway to the rose garden. It was a magnificent sight, with the moonlight glowing. Alessandro sighed and began to talk in a quiet tone. We have been coming here for more than 2 years without anyone knowing that we are as one. But I fear that if we continue what we are doing, we will be caught, he said in his scared, worried voice. Maria's face looked sad as she looked up into his reddened eyes. What would you suggest, my love? She spoke in her soft voice. We should leave together. Leave Montecchio as soon as we can. Then we can spend our lives together without the constant worry of being caught. What of your family? You are next in line for the throne. 24th of May, 1610. Alessandro opened his journal and pressed the quill inside the inkwell and begins to write. We leave the city on the 26th by horse and cart. Alessandro stumbled to his feet and wrapped himself in a travel coat and placed his top hat upon his head and made for the study door, not realizing he had left the journal open on his study desk. He crept into the night, looking to quench the thirst that built inside him. Meanwhile, inside the castle, Queen Sophia of Montecchia walked briskly past Alessandro's study, catching a glimpse of the journal that laid upon the desk. Turning on her heel, she darted out of the room furiously, carrying the journal in her hand. As she came to the grand room of the castle, she threw the book into King Alessandro's view. "Your son has stained the family," she beckoned towards him. "Right under our noses he has been in the company of a human." Disgusted, he picked himself up from a chair and screamed out the prince's name. The next day was another bright sunny day. Maria opened the door, still in her nightgown, shocked to see the maid at her doorstep. "They knew," she panted. "The king and queen know about you and Prince Alessandro." "Does Alessandro know about this?" Maria asked the maid. "No, miss. He never came home last night." 4:50 p.m. that day, Maria pulled her bags to the door of her grandfather's hallway, grabbed her coat and opened the door. The sun was just starting to set along the chimney tops as she closed the door behind her and stepped down the 3 stone steps onto the path. She continued to walk into the darkness, catching her dress on a post that was sticking out of the floor. She fell, but was stopped by Alessandro, who came out of nowhere to stop her from falling. "We need to leave now," he said quickly. "No, the sun is still up. He will die," she said firmly. "I will be fine," he stated. "It's the only way we can be together. If Mother and Father know about us, then now is our only chance to leave," said the prince sternly. The sun had gone down completely now, and a bellowing voice echoed through the sun. "Alessandro!" shouted the queen from the steps of the castle. "They are awake," the prince said, hurrying her along. As they passed the final row of houses and past an old wagon, Maria stopped. She grabbed 2 masks that hung from the market stand and threw a handful of silver coins to the seller. "Put this on," she said, tossing him a silver and black coloured mask. She placed a red and black mask with feathers and silver stone gems over her eyes. Both concealed from their true identity, they continued to move less conspicuous than the last of the town, jumping into a carriage and closing the door with a slam. "Venice," Maria shouted to the driver of a horse-driven wagon. The cart driver wrapped the reins against both horses, and they started off towards the beautiful city of Venice, never to be seen again. Years had passed since Alessandro and Maria left Montecchia. The queen and king were heartbroken that their only son seemed to be lost forever because of old-fashioned rules. But eventually, word had reached his parents that each year at the carnival in Venice, an elegant couple can be seen with black and red masks, and they might be Alessandro and Maria. The saddened parents sent for the couple. Sure enough, it was them, and after assuring that his parents would accept Maria, the 2 returned home, and soon thereafter a grand wedding was celebrated. His parents gladly accepted her in their family. Each year thereafter is a ball to celebrate the love that was shared between 2 species, a masquerade ball, just like Maria and Prince Alessandro wore when fighting for their love for each other. Alessandro and Maria were chosen to reign as king and queen. They built a strong family that became known all over the lands as Blood Evolutions. Maria, now a vampire herself, made sure that the tradition of the masquerade was never to be forgotten. In the 17th century, one branch of the family decided to move to the New World, the Americas. A clan maintaining those love-based family traditions was formed with the same name, Blood Evolutions.
It's hard for me to say the things I wanna say sometimes. There's no one here but you and me. That broken old street light, lock the door and leave the world outside. All I've got to give to you are these 5 words tonight. Thank you for loving me, for being my eyes when I couldn't see the part of my lips, when I couldn't breathe. Thank you for loving me. I never knew I had a dream until that dream was you. But when I look in your eyes, the sky is a different blue. Cross my heart, highway no disguise. And if I tried, you'd make believe that you believed my lies. Thank you for loving me, for being my eyes when I couldn't see the bite of my lips, when I couldn't breathe. Thank you for loving me. You pick me up